evening. My name's Ben Doughty. Delighted to be joined by my old mate, three-time or triple champion of three really meaningful titles as well. Brown Sugar, Esham Pickering. How's it going, Shug?
Good, Ben. It's been a while, mate. How you been? Keeping busy?
Yeah, you know how it is in this game. We duck and dive, don't we? We
That's it.
somehow eke a living out of the noble art. Is it still the noble art, or is that getting a little bit stretched,
That's
that
good. That's a
description?
good question. That's a good question. I think it's turning even more business-like, and
Yeah, it's funny, you know, Shug.
the boxes are more significantly the bosses.
Well, that's an interesting question too, and maybe we could talk about that in a bit regarding the boxing landscape right now with Turkey Al Sheikh, and particularly his partnership with Dana White. But talking of Turkey and the Riyadh season revolution, you told me you greatly enjoyed the Night of Champions, the promotion Saturday night in Riyadh with the four
Ben,
title fights.
Ben, I really enjoyed it, mate. Yes, 100%. It's the best night of boxing for myself that I've seen for a long time. Definitely over the last couple of years, at least. Anyway.
All right, let's talk
Following
about
part.
Sam Noakes first. I mean, that was the order that I watched it in. I tuned in from Sam Noakes and um, Abdullah Mason onwards. I mean, you know, I was just so humbled by the grit and resilience and desire that Sam Noakes showed in particular. Both of them showed it, you know, and Abdullah Mason showed a lot of grit as well. But Mason was the more talented, athletic guy who probably had more options available to him, and he decided to have a tear up with Sam. But Sam was just, you know what I mean, Shug, you know as well as I do, you find out who you are in the ring in those tough moments. And a guy like David Hay, for instance, who fought Klitschko the way he did after talking a big game in the run-up, and then, you know, he famously blamed it on an injury to his toe. But so you see, ultimately, David Hay is a really good fighter, but he's not that guy when the chips are down. Sam Noakes proved he absolutely is that guy.
Truly diligent. What a warrior. 19-0. I don't think he's really been tested, has he? Even at 19-0 out 30 knockouts or something.
Yeah.
Just a humble guy. You know, I love his attitude. Oh man, he'd give him a fight. Tough as nails. Absolute nails, that guy. And Abdullah Mason was a step above. Reminded me of young Sugar Ray Leonard. Probably not as good as him, but oh man, his fitness, his condition, his variation in punches. Loved him. His fitness, mate, and condition, beautiful. And he just had that little bit more than Sam. You know what I mean? He had that bit of class. He went through the gears, but Sam Noakes was no pushover, mate, and he caught a good fight with some good shots, and yeah, I was really impressed with that fight, and really rated both fighters. But I'm a big fan of Abdullah after that fight, and I think he has to go down as my greatest, most favourite fighter at this present time.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. You know, I mean, Mason, when you make the Sugar Ray Leonard comparison, his hand speed and his variety reminded me of Ray in flashes. You know, he looked huge to me for a lightweight too. I mean, Sam Noakes has always been a big lightweight. I remember one of his former opponents. It was Lewis something or other. One of Sam Noakes' former opponents at the pre-fight press conference. He said he's a middleweight who can make lightweight. That's what Sam Noakes is, you know, and perhaps he was accusing him of being the weight bully, as it were. Sam Noakes admitted to me some time ago he definitely couldn't make lightweight if it was the old school rules of having to weigh in on the same day. But so he's a big lightweight, you know, and known to be. But I thought Mason looked huge. I mean, John Rooney, my old mate, said only in height. He only looks huge in height. But I don't know about that, Shug. I thought he's got a really big triangular kind of physique as well, like Tommy Hearns. He looked massive to me for a 9 stone niner.
Yeah, big shoulders, tall, lot taller. But you see his midsection, he's ripped to bits because he lives the life. his fitness incredible. He's the full package, mate, and he can bang as well. And he's
Yeah.
fast. Not many fighters can bang and fast. Not many. He's one of them, and his variation and his punch picking. And I'm really impressed with Sam Noakes, mate. He stood up to him
Yeah.
and he gave him a fight.
Well, he
Really,
did. I mean, you could watch it and you could root for Sam Noakes, which I was doing. I'm not the default patriotic guy, as you probably know. I don't root for Brits just because they're British, but I
no,
was rooting for
same
Noakes
here.
because of the yeah, I was rooting for Noakes because of the familiarity and the fact that I've met him a bunch of times, and also I know Alan Smith, who is his coach. But you could watch that fight rooting for Noakes, and you could be optimistic that he might pull it off. It was a bit
Yeah,
rocky. It was like a Rocky story kind of thing, wasn't it? Somewhat, you know. He was hurting Mason to the body sometimes, and there were times when you could think that it was within his grasp, but obviously the right man won, as you said.
yeah. I've never met Sam, but I get a feeling from him, and humble, um, passionate, lives the life. And I was rooting for him. I really liked Abdullah Mason as well, but I was rooting for him maybe because he was British. I mean, I don't really go for British fighters. I go for what I like, but
Yeah.
I like him. I just took to him, and I really wanted him to do well. But the best man went through the gears, and it was a fair decision at the end.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting and exciting to watch Mason's development as now the newly crowned WBO champion as it goes forward. What about Noakes? I mean, do you
Yeah,
think he will get good big opportunities after off the back of this and his stock has risen? Someone said on my page yesterday, I think they said, "Oh, he'll probably get avoided now, Noakes, that is, because they know how tough he is." But I don't think so. I think it will lead to good opportunities for Sam going forward.
no, the same you said about Abdullah, the same I say for Noakes. I'm really interested in him, and interested to see what he does next. And I'm pretty sure Turkey will be interested in him. Why wouldn't they?
And
He
that's
gives
what we've
a tremendous
seen, right, Shug?
fight.
That's what we've seen so far, Shug. Since Turkey Al Sheikh has thrown his hat into the ring, and his hat is
Brilliant.
so big that it's knocked everybody else's hat out of the ring, pretty much.
Yeah,
He is. We have seen guys, as long as they perform well and they bring it to the table and they show desire and they show toughness and they show balls, then they tend to get more opportunities. He doesn't care too much whether they win or lose. If he likes them and they're entertaining, then he will reward them. It would appear.
you've said the word there. It's the entertainment value, and Sam's entertainment value, mate. You could not, I couldn't take my eye off that fight. It was
Yeah.
class. It was class on all subjects, mate. And yeah, Turkey knows class when he sees it. He's been watching the boxing a long time, and he knows all the great fighters over the last 40 odd years. I don't know how old is he. He seems. I
Turkey
think
Al
he knows.
Sheikh. Turkey Al Sheikh. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I'm sure it's online somewhere. But I mean, if I was guessing, I would think he's. Would you think he's 50s?
Probably late, yeah, mid to late 40s, I'd say.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe so. Maybe so.
but he knows his stuff, doesn't he? He knows his stuff, and he's a big avid fan from what I'm seeing and hearing anyway.
Well,
And
some people accuse him. Some people say he's just a casual with a massive exorbitant checkbook. But I don't know. I mean, he scored points with me early doors when he named Roberto Duran and Larry Holmes as his two favourite
yeah,
fighters. So he's
love
obviously,
that. Love that.
you know,
That's the guy that studies the game, mate. That's the
yeah,
guy that studies the game to appreciate them two fighters. True greats, studies the game, mate, 100%. That says it all. But sometimes I do watch him at ringside, and he's on his phone.
yeah.
I don't know what's going off there, but he's on his phone for a whole fight. I saw it. Maybe the undercard fights, but there's still interesting fights. But that card that he's put on there, obviously the money's unreal. But like I said, that was a wicked card, mate. That honestly, two unbeaten fighters everywhere fighting each other. I was a bit. I don't want to change the subject because I love Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes, but I was a little bit disappointed with Devin Haney and the other guy. What his
I was
name?
going to talk to you about that one next. Well, see, I thought Haney did it wasn't perhaps the great fight that people were possibly expecting, but I thought Haney did a great job, and I thought I got a kick out of Haney's performance because a lot of people have been slagging him off and dismissing him and saying that he's like a pacifist, he's a track runner, he's chinny, all the rest of it. I know that some people don't like his comportment outside the ring, or more to the point, they don't like his dad's kind of style and profile as part of the team. But I thought Devin did a good job, dominant performance. So he scored the knockdown in the second round, and I was quite happy for Devin Haney. I thought he responded to his critics and did what he had to do. But I see Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn were saying, "Oh, it's like watching paint dry." Conor said he's scared of his own shadow, but I think that Devin would stand Conor Benn on his head, with no disrespect to Conor Benn, and I thought it was a good performance, Shug.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of that, Ben. I must admit, I'm a bit guilty of, if I don't like him, it takes the shine off him for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I like a humble, realistic guy, and he don't seem that to me. He's false. Do you know what I mean? He blows a load of smoke and shit. I don't like that, and so is Dad. Is it to sell tickets? Maybe, but I think they like that anyway. So I don't think it's a mask. I don't think it's an act. I think it's them.
yeah.
Could be wrong, but
I know
yeah.
you raise a good point there, Shug, because sometimes when you get people reacting understandably to a brash media persona, you'll get people who defend the person in question. They say, "Oh, he's not like that, really. Oh, it's just an image. It's just to sell tickets." But you're right. Sometimes it is okay to conclude that this is just what those people are like, and that's the reality of who they are, or who they are under the spotlight, which is still a version of yourself. So. Sometimes people say that people adopt an obnoxious persona because quiet, nice guys don't sell tickets, but I don't know about that, Shug, because you see a guy like Ricky Hatton, who's a phenomenal, probably the biggest ticket seller in the history of British boxing. He didn't do it by being obnoxious, did he? He didn't do it, but he did it by being himself, literally being himself.
Humble, down to earth, and a great personality, and a great sense of humour, and realistic. That's how he did it.
Yeah, because it was organic to himself, and there's an angle there. That boy next door thing does work if people like you and they can identify with you, and look, like say Sam Noakes is another one. I mean, I think he will have gained a lot of fans on Saturday night, but just because of the heroism he showed. You can't watch that without being humbled, and you can't watch that without just having just an enormous amount of affection and respect for the man who puts that kind of shift in. Yeah, they fight for money, they fight for personal advancement, but it's still for our entertainment as well, isn't it?
Comes with the territory. But there's a sad thing, Ben. I've never heard him talk. I've never heard him have an interview. That's sad, isn't it? I've never even heard him speak. So, yeah. Did he have a post-fight interview? Because I ain't heard it.
You know what? I didn't hear Sam much. You raised a good point there. I didn't hear Sam Noakes talk in a post-fight interview either. Which I would like to hear what he's got to say. I mean, do you know what? I could probably get in touch and get an interview rather than complain
That'd
about
be
the fact there hasn't been one.
yeah.
I would
Do you
like
know
to.
him, Ben? Do you know him?
I mean, I know Alan Smith over the
Yeah,
years. I mean, we don't go playing green bowls together twice a week or anything like that. But we'll talk to each other in the sauna. But
yeah,
no, I mean, I've known Al for years, and I could
yeah.
probably approach the team and ask for an interview with Sam while that's still relatively hot off the press. But I've seen him at press conferences over the last couple of years, Sam Noakes, and he's a typical nice fella, normal, grounded guy.
Yeah.
Seems like a good
He's,
lad.
he's 28, isn't he? So he's still got a bit of time on his side. I know Abdullah's 20,
One.
21. Wow. 21. Wow. But Noak's got some time, and I'm really hoping he can win a world title. I think he can. I think he's going to take some beating, mate. Anyway, but he took some knocks in that fight. Though he took a lot of punishment for me, and a bad cut. Was that a clash of heads or a punch?
Absolutely a clash of heads. They showed it on the
Right.
slow mo. It was a
Yeah,
clash of
he's
heads.
nails though. He's nails, mate. He is. He's
Yeah.
absolutely nails. How many knockouts has Mason had?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, but
Yeah, it's
I mean,
over
he is a
half, isn't it?
puncher.
It's
He
over
is a
half.
puncher.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over half. He's still
Yeah.
young, eh? Yeah, so great. I see a real potential for Abdullah Mason at 21. And obviously, what is he, about 5'10"? He's quite tall. He's leaner.
Yeah. Like I say, he's a huge lightweight. He looks to me like he's got the frame to go up the weights in the
Yeah.
same way a guy
But
like
he's
Tommy Hearns
ripped to
had.
bits, isn't he? He's ripped to bits, so he is getting down. So, yeah, there's no reason why he can't go as far as light middleweight by the look of him.
Yeah, looked like a light middleweight on the night to me. Anyway, all right. So we've spoke about Haney and Norman Jr. as well. You had Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who we knew already he was a superlative talent, one of the best fighters in the world at any weight. And then I remember Al Bernstein said, "Don't sleep on Daniel Martinez." He said he is a legitimate underdog, but he is a good fighter, and this is definitely a fight. But it was pretty one sided ultimately. Just another masterclass from Jesse Rodriguez, who took him out. Lovely counter, knockout of the year contender. I saw someone else suggest when. He slipped. It's usually you see this orthodox to orthodox shug, but I think it was in the seventh or the eighth round when Martinez threw the rear hand his straight right, and the southpaw Rodriguez slipped it the way you might normally slip a jab, and came back with his left hand and took him out with a one shot. So
Is Bam Mexican?
it, no, he's not. He's an American. He's from San Antonio,
But has he got
Texas.
Mexican heritage though?
A lot of them have. It's like see
Yeah.
Mike Ayala, who I went to stay with back in 2022 because I was writing a book about his brother Tony Ayala Jr. When I thought Mike would identify as a Mexican, because obviously Ayala is a Mexican name, the family are of Mexican descent, and
Yeah.
I thought Mike might have this Mexican pride, as part of his identity, but he didn't at all. He said when I was wearing this zip up top, funny enough, that had Mexico on the back of it, and he said what's that about? And I said this is for you. And he said, "But I'm an American, though." And he didn't want a bar of the Mexican. He
Wow.
had nothing against Mexico, but as far as he was concerned, he was a Bruce Springsteen loving, all American Hispanic boy. So
Yeah.
same thing with Rodriguez. Rodriguez is also from San Antonio, like the Ayalas. And
Yeah. He's definitely some Mexican in him. I had a chat with Sonny Edwards actually, who boxed him
yeah,
at the
yeah.
show at Doncaster, and he was saying that. Yeah, he said the guy that was fighting was no pushover, and he was unbeaten, and he looked like a good fight. But Bam Rodriguez, from what I've seen, one thing I like about him, he's not the typical Mexican fighter. He's got beautiful footwork. I love his skills, and
Yeah.
he can punch and fight as well. So, yeah, I'm an admirer of Rodriguez. I can't even say it. Bam Rodriguez. Yeah, beautiful, and probably can go through the weights, or if he's looking to do that, I don't know. But is he getting on now? How old is he?
He's only a young kid. I think he's only about
Yeah,
24 years old. He's got
yeah.
everything ahead of him, assuming that they say that lighter weight fighters burn out quicker. I mean, you might have an opinion on that yourself, being a super bantamweight, in your vintage. But Bam is certainly plenty fresh right now. I mean, people are ultimately talking about a potential showdown one day with Naoya Inoue and Rodriguez, which I mean, it's a hell of an interesting fight, and we should remember that Inoue himself started down at flyweight, I believe. So
I'm not sure how they do it, mate, because he looks ripped to bits. What is he doing now? Featherweight.
what? But Bam Rodriguez is currently a
No,
super
no,
flyweight.
no, no. Anyway.
Anyway, Inoue has gone as far as super bantamweight, I believe, right?
Yeah,
That
so
is where he
he's
currently
come through.
resides.
He's come through a stone, ripped to bits. He's got some height on him as well, hasn't he? I think, yeah, could be a possibility, couldn't it? Could
Okay,
be.
let's talk about the nominal main event of the Ring 4 Night of Champions show. And the Yard, once again, unsuccessful in a world title bid against an elite fighter. People say because world titles are so relatively normalised today. A lot of people have said it's a shame that Ward's come up against three monsters in his three title tries. I mean, the way I look at it, that used to be the kind of default setting anyway, that you had to fight somebody who was an absolute monster and who was an elite, and that's why he was the champion of the world. But obviously, things have changed in the last several decades, and a lot of people think that it's that maybe it's a fighter's birthright to expect an easy world title challenge here or there. But there's once again there has been a chorus of people saying he needs to ditch Tunde Ajayi as his coach. Personally, I don't know about that. I mean, I've got my own thoughts on it, having known the pair of them a long time. But I mean, you must have seen that yourself. What's your take on it?
My take on it is I'm not inside the camp.
Yeah,
I'm inside the gym with them, but I know Tunde's been with him a long time, his whole career. I mean, they keep going about Anthony only had 12 amateur fights. That don't interest me because Johnny Nelson only had 12. I was only pro 4.5, amateur 4.5 years. He's been 12 years a professional. Tunde's
yeah.
been with him a long time, and I think he's doing an amazing job.
I, I
I
agree with you,
don't
Suk. You know, some people are suggesting online that Yard has been badly managed. I beg to differ. I think he's been
bullshit.
superbly managed.
Absolute bullshit. That is the biggest load of shit I've ever heard.
Yeah,
He's been amazingly managed, amazing, and
yeah,
Frank Warren's been involved.
yeah.
Um, I had a guy called Mitch Mitchell, but you know I had Mitch. He boxed Yarde's first fight,
I remember
and
that, man. Yeah,
yeah, he was there, bro. I can remember it. Yeah, at Wembley,
yeah.
and that's 12 years ago. And Anthony had it in him. You could tell because Mitch don't get stopped, and he stopped Mitch in the first round. That don't happen to Mitch. You
Yeah.
know, Lyndon Arthur couldn't do that to him. Do you know what I mean? So he had something in him from day one. He had something in him from day one. He had it in him, mate. 100%. You know, you have to have something in you as well as as well as making it and going through all the levels. You have to have it in you, man. And he had it
John
in
Ezekiel has said that he thinks he might have missed the presence and influence of James Cook. I mean, that is a possibility. I know that when he avenged the loss to Lyndon Arthur with the impressive fourth round knockout, Tunde himself said that James Cook was the missing ingredient in the team and the chemistry.
experience. James, great man. Yeah,
Yeah,
experience. Maybe give Tunde a few tips with his vast experience, and yeah, it sounded like a good move. But that was a learning curve for Anthony, and it worked. I mean, he lost to Lyndon, he come back and he beat him. Listen, he was destined to do what he did, and he's come up against three prolific champions, and he's as tough as nails, mate. He got battered in that fight, and he never looked away. He never made any excuses, and I take my hat off to him, mate. He did amazing against a guy that never touched a shot. He was putting everything in every shot. A crude, spiteful, man shows mean intentions in his punches. I mean, when I watch it, I don't think he's that special, but that's what I'm watching. He's not got an element of class, but he's spiteful and he's unbeaten. And every shot is mean intentions, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And Anthony never give up, mate. And he took some licks, didn't he?
Yeah, and I agree with you insofar as Tunde has taken him this far from scratch with very limited amateur background to three world title
And I
challenges.
listened to him in the corner. He is passionate, and he
Yeah,
really wants his man to win. And it's love. That's love what he's got for Anthony Yarde. The love. The referee come in the corner, and he's like, no, no, no. He wants it as much as Anthony. You know what I mean? He's got his heart on Anthony's sleeve. You know what I mean?
yeah, and also a fighter is not necessarily a failure just because they lose three world title challenges, any more than Tony Simpson was a failure, or any more than Colin Jones' career was a
Hey, listen.
failure.
I won't mind living with Anthony Yarde because he's got plenty of money now. I know he has. for them big three fights that he's had.
Do
So
you know
fair
what? I
play
heard
to
they
him.
made a killing to go to Russia to fight Kovalev
Oh, he earned
a
a
few
million.
years
He
ago.
earned over the million. He earned over the million, and I'm so happy for him. Any fighter to earn that life appreciating money, like I'm so happy for him. You know what I mean? Because it's not easy. It's not easy to get that life defining money, is it? And yeah, I mean, I remember that fight, and I know he got life changing money, and he's fair play to him. He's carried on. Maybe we won't see the end of Anthony Yarde. What is he now? 30? He's in his 30s, isn't he?
I probably in the early 30s at this point. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he was. I remember him from the old TKO gym days back in 2012, and then he must have been about 19. I would have thought.
And I take my hat off to him for not giving up. I hope he doesn't. I mean, if you remember, Errol Bomber Graham had 3 tries. Ryan Rhodes had 3 tries. Quite a few fighters have had 3 tries, and maybe they've not given up. Maybe just their time just come to an end. You know what I mean? But hope he gets another shot, and hope he sticks to it.
And just how good is Benavidez? People are in the game, or certainly fans online, are very high on him right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've only watched him once, but I'm on the outside looking in. I've been a fighter. I've had over 100 fights, but I know it's harder when you get in there. But from the outside looking in, um, I'm not really impressed. So many things, but it's harder when you're in there facing him. He looks quite long armed, and that might be difficult to deal with. And he's a crude puncher with mean intentions. Obviously, nobody's got in his way yet, and I've got to take my hat off to him. He's a great champion, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not that. He's not that pleasing to my eye, Ben. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not as high on him perhaps as some other people are. One thing for sure, he loves throwing multiple left hands. He loves
Yeah, yeah,
tripling and quadrupling and up on that left hook. There was that moment that some people, there's been a lot of highlights of it where he's holding the yard around the back of the head and he's just throwing lots and lots of
yeah,
left hooks.
yeah. It's a bit
Which, but
novicey, that, isn't it? A bit novicey to
yeah.
me.
I mean, I saw someone today. Canelo didn't want to fight him, everybody says, and they say that this is the vindication when you look at the kind of job he did on Anthony Yarde, who obviously is no Canelo, but the dominance and the kind of fearsome nature of the performance, they said was yet
I don't,
more.
I don't, I don't, I don't think Canelo's gonna duck anybody. He's never ducked anybody, has he? No, no. Why is he gonna duck him? He's boxed everybody else. Why is he gonna duck him?
Well, some people, I don't know. Some people say that Canelo picked his time where Gennady Golovkin was concerned. And they have said for years he's avoided Benavidez. I certainly, one thing we do know that is Canelo didn't want to fight Benavidez for his own reasons. They may not have been fear related. They may not have been based on the concern that he would lose to
It could be
Benavidez.
business related, Ben. It could be business related. Maybe he can get better money elsewhere. He gets 50 million a fight, doesn't he? So maybe he'd only get 40 million for that because money is the object on these top class fighters, isn't it?
I think he can. I think he can get money with less risk somewhere else for certain. For certain, I think he can get the same money, if not more, for fighting opponents that are less physically demanding and less threatening to him than Benavidez at this stage of his career. I mean,
He's boxed guys that's beat him already. Weren't they threatening?
he's boxed guys who's
Beat
beat
him
who.
already. These boxed guys that's beat him already. So wasn't they threatening?
Well, yeah. I mean, if we look at Canelo's official defeats, I mean, I'm not being snide when I say that. I do happen to think he's lost a couple more than the record officially
He has,
shows.
definitely.
But if we look at
I
his
agree.
official defeats, the Mayweather fight made sense for him, I believe. I mean, they say he was a bit young and a bit green, and Floyd dragged him down a couple of pounds to 152. But the Mayweather fight made sense for him, and he was absolutely stood on his head that night. Oh, okay. The Bivol fight was a risk he didn't have to take. To be fair to him, that was a risk. That was a
Yeah.
question of him, going that extra mile to try and stretch himself and achieve. and he got soundly beaten then. And Crawford, I mean, Crawford, he was a favourite for a lot of legitimate reasons. Personally, I fancy Crawford, and he lost that too. So we can't really accuse Canelo of swerving major challenges on a default basis. No, but people did say he didn't want to. I mean, it's like the Hatton Witter thing, which you'll remember vividly well, I'm sure, in first person, Shug. In terms of, I say first person, I mean being around at the time and knowing
Yeah,
both fighters, no doubt, to a great degree.
yeah.
And people said that Ricky didn't want to give Junior the opportunity because he had personal animosity towards him, and he didn't want him to make the kind of money that Ricky was going to make for the rest of his career anyway without Junior.
I'm not sure it was that in my mind. I thought, he could go his own way and earn money and not give Junior the money probably, and he could beat higher profile fighters than Junior. Even Junior as a world champion, these people that don't know who he was a WCBC world champion, and did he have 4 defenses, Junior? And had some great. He had a knockout run of about 15 or 16 after Zabjuda.
You
And
did, yeah.
and that's pretty some going, mate. That's some going. There wasn't monkeys that he was knocking over either.
No, they were good European level fighters, some of them.
Yeah, and some good African fighters. He knocked out some good Americans as well, and had a cracking fight in Los Angeles. Went home to LA with him, and he beat Love Morendil, and that was a tough fight.
Do you know Frank Warren always held the Zab Judah fight against Junior Witter? He said that was the issue. He said that was one of the stumbling blocks, major stumbling blocks with, I believe it was Showtime that Hatton and Warren had a deal with to showcase Ricky's fights at the time. And he said, I cannot sell Hatton Witter to Showtime because all they remember is his performance against Zab Judah. But personally, I thought that was a very creditable performance at late notice. I think he had did he have about 16 days notice or something like that, June?
Yeah, 12 days. But the thing was, you can't go by the Zabjuda fight because 16 knockouts straight after that, and there was all incredible performances. There was really good knockouts and fights. There was fight during up to the knockout. It was a massacre, and
Yeah.
it was good. It was good television. There was
Yeah.
all Sky Sports fights. Do you know what I
Which
mean?
is why it struck me as spin. What Frank can say what he likes about Junior,
And if you
maybe not.
remember, he was on Frank Warren's shows doing that. He was keeping away from Ricky. He
And
knew
everybody in Britain, everybody in this country wanted to see Hatton Witter. And the interesting thing about it was because
at
it
the
was like
Soldier Stadium. The Soldier Stadium. I know. Junior wasn't the most loved fighter, but let me tell you that have all gone out to watch him box Ricky Hatton. 100% the Soldier Stadium.
Yeah, without question, that was the one that got away. And at the end of the day, I'm sure that of the two of them, Junior would be the one who would have nursed the regrets on that front because he was the one who really wanted the fight. And that sometimes that's what it comes down to. Shug, coming back to the original point, David Benavidez badly wants to fight Canelo, badly wanted to fight him for several years. Canelo didn't harbour that same desire. It was not reciprocal. We can talk all day about politics and risk reward and timing and personal animosity or anything else, but one guy wants to fight, the other guy doesn't. That's as simple as that, really, right?
I mean, a lot of us think that it's financial reward, but Benavidez wants to beat Canelo. He wants to beat Canelo. That is it for me. I don't think it's so much financial.
Yeah. People were saying, of course, that Chris Eubank Jr. wanted to fight Canelo, and they was wondering if that was something he could have if he'd have beat Conor Ben again, then maybe that might have been something he'd have looked to press forward into. But obviously, you saw what happened against Conor Ben a couple of weeks ago at Tottenham Stadium, and now the main sort of talking point and debate revolves around whether Eubank Jr. is shot to bits or whether he just finally just didn't get away with making the weight and the rehydration clause twice in a row, and still has a future to middleweight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can Chris used a bit of not an excuse, but he said he was going through a lot of personal
Hell,
problems.
He said hell, yeah.
Yeah, personal problems. Now I've been through personal problems, and that ruined my career. So I know where it's coming from, and he didn't want to make an excuse. He just said what it was, and that was it. He give him the credit for it, and it did shock me. Eubank lost that fight, but that wasn't him in the ring. No way that was him. Weight drained or whatever he was. You know, I can't make excuses for him, but weight drained or whatever he was. That wasn't Chris Eubank that was there on the first fight. We know that, and I don't believe it's 3 months later that makes him all of a sudden old. It's because he had stuff going on. I've been there, and I know what it drained me, so it probably drained him.
Yeah,
But he got in the ring at the same time. He hyped the fight up, and he's lost the fight, so there's no excuses.
Yeah, you remind me. I remember Harold Graham. I mean, there'd be a long list of fighters who had personal problems going into fights, and they cited it as a factor in certain defeats they had. But I remember, I think it was when Harold lost. It got suffered his first pro loss to Sumbu Kalambe, and he said that he had these marital issues going on at the time. He said that I think don't know if he was married as such, but he said that he was getting calls from some woman who said, "Can you tell your girlfriend to please, or your fiance to please stop sleeping with my husband," and things like that. That was doing his head in the preparation to the fight. So it must be a difficult thing to try and, if you've got things of that nature which are cutting into your sort of peace of mind while you're trying to get ready for war. It must have a very detrimental effect. And
Ben, you've got your mind's everything into it. People won't go to work if they had a lot of personal problems. To go to the work for a day's work, or if they do, you can tell they're in harm's way. Like they're just not right. You can see it in people. So to get in the ring and fight in the hardest sport out there, it's tough. Simple as. The strongest survive. I mean, some people would go out there and box out of the skin. These people that's had I mean, Buster Douglas. Did he lose
yeah,
his father before
mother,
Tyson?
his mother,
Mother. Yeah,
3
I mean,
weeks.
people stretch it to the and box out of the skin. So it's just the way the body reacts and the mind reacts. We're all different, and it's on the day that counts, and we can't make excuses.
Yeah, and that's what Eubank said. He said he figured when the lights hit him and the bell went, he'd feel all right. Sometimes the way you do. Sometimes he said that he
To
figured
come
it'd all
out,
be
I mean,
okay.
he come out. That was the best entrance I've ever seen. By the way,
Or
absolutely
50 Cent.
buzzing. Yeah, absolutely buzzing. I was for that. What an entrance! And he looked the minute. I mean, I didn't think there was any issues, but maybe that tried to spike himself or whatever, and bring the best out of him. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny when you talk about that entrance. It reminded me because I watched the fight with my girlfriend, who's not into boxing, and she just thought it looked kind of almost semi-comical and ridiculous. And she said, "What is this culture that you're so into?" She thought it was looking at him coming in with the pimp coat on, like looking like Suge Knight or something, um, with 50 Cent and his dad in all his regalia dancing into the ring.
Did she watch it?
Say again.
Did she watch it?
The fight itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what? She lasted about 3 rounds. It was quite funny little tangent we've gone off on, but she came. This is what happened, right? She came round. She'd never watched
No,
the fight
did
from me
she
before.
watch the entrance?
Yeah, she watched it. Yeah, she
There you
saw
are
it.
then. She
Yeah,
watched it. She tuned
yeah,
in.
but she only because she was a captive audience. It doesn't really work.
All
Then
right.
it must have been.
Okay.
She had that two choices: watch it or turn away from the screen. And to be fair, she bailed out after round 3 anyway, as far as the
Right.
fights went.
Right.
Because
Is she a boxing fan?
no, not at all. I think she's got respect for the idea of it and the athletes and stuff. But it's funny because she just said, "Well, this is as big as you think this is." She said, "This is on an app, and you have to pay 25 quid to watch it, and it's on an app." She said, "It's not mainstream. It's actually not mainstream." Which it was an interesting point anyway, because I guess we live on Planet Boxing. To us, it's the world and it's just life. But she was saying, to the rest of the world, this is not such a big deal. She said it's on an app, isn't it? And you have to pay $24.99 if you want to see it. Which
Yeah.
it was an interesting take anyway. What I've realised is it doesn't really work to have her around when the boxing's on anymore. And as
Yeah.
much as I love her, we're probably not going to do that next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Incidentally, I'm not taking anything away from Conor Benn because he boxed an amazing fight and he upped his game. He was faster, stronger. He beat Eubank in all aspects. So it only counts on the day. Whatever the excuses I'm giving for Chris, he's not even giving them. I'm giving them for him. Whatever excuses I'm giving, don't matter. He turned up for that night and he turned up with 50 Cent. He was expecting to win, surely.
yeah, absolutely. And and Shug, anybody who says that he deliberately sort of underperformed in order to set up a third fight, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't. It's
No,
just
no,
pub
crap.
talk.
He never wanted to lose to Conor Benn, mate. He never wanted to. When he got that win, he was delighted and elated when he
Yeah,
got the win the first time. So he's not going to want to lose to Conor Benn, mate. No
yeah.
way. One
You
thing
know,
what I was shocked about, Ben, was the same stipulations was still in the rematch. I was shocked about that because Eubank won the first fight, didn't? So he must have signed for the both fights on the first signing then, because I'm
yeah.
so surprised the stipulations did not change.
And they didn't, and it was always said that they would have to be on the same terms, and they were. And I think, regardless of any other explanation for the contrast between the two fights, I think one thing which is clear is Eubank did not get away with it twice in a row. I mean, he probably left a certain amount of himself in the ring back in April in the same ring, the same arena. And this time as well, because remember last time he marginally missed the weight itself, but he made the rehydration clause the next day. This
If
time
anything, he was more prepared this time, wasn't he? With a weight.
he was, and I don't know how significant it was last time that he didn't quite make it, whereas this time he did, and he seemed to have nothing left when he got in the ring.
And
And it
obviously
probably
he
is,
had a better camp and a more organised setup, didn't he? With
yeah.
Bomac and everything. Anyway, it looked that
Well,
way.
he did, yeah. I mean, and once again, to me, that proves that these trainers are not miracle workers. You know what I mean, Shug?
No,
Because
no, 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 100%.
there's a big lot of mystique around certain trainers, especially Bomac being one of them because he trains Terence Crawford. But no amount of training, coaching, or game plan will ever turn Chris Eubank Jr. into Terence Crawford, and that's something that sometimes I think people think that these trainers are like some magical supernatural force when they're just good coaches who hopefully know the fighter and know what's best for him. But Conor Benn now, I wonder what will be the next step for him. I mean, do you think he'll have any trouble dropping back down to welterweight, Shug? Do you think there'll be any kind of difficulty in the
That'd
transition
be
back?
interesting to see. But did he fill out to the? I mean, coming on the scales, what did he weigh on the day of the fights? Do we
One
know
five
that?
nine on. Well, he weighed 159 on the weigh in, and then he on the day of the fight. Do you know what? I think he was. I can't remember, but I do believe that he gained more weight than Chris Junior did, because I think Chris Junior, when they said he only put on a relatively small amount of weight, that was the sign that he was dead at the weight. Some people were saying.
Yeah,
Conor
yeah,
Benn's weight on the night, I think it was in the region of 169 or something like that. I think, but don't quote me.
right. 170, so he's making 147, isn't he? Yeah. I
I mean,
don't know.
do you expect him? I mean, I wonder will he get a title fight next time out at welterweight? I would have thought Lewis Crocker versus Conor Benn is a big commercial possibility in Belfast next year, maybe next
What's he
spring.
like? Is he any good, Crocker?
Oh, well, Crocker ain't bad, certainly. I mean, it sounds absurd talking about a reigning world champion and to say he's not bad. I mean, everybody thought he lost to Paddy Donovan, but for the disqualification, controversy in the first fight. But he made his adjustments. He got his game plan right in the rematch, and he beat Donovan, didn't he? So he deserves respect. He deserves his props. I think
Would you make him favourite against Conor Benn from the outside
I don't
in?
know about that. I think it'd be a bit of a pick 'em affair, to be honest with you. I think
Yeah.
it'd be it's a winnable fight for Conor Benn, in my
Well,
opinion.
they're going to get it. They're going to get the Irishman over here on his home soil, aren't they? So, it's going to be a Ben show, isn't it? So it's going to be a tough fight for the Irishman.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't know if that's where Ben's going to go next. I don't know if that's the direction they're going to go with him. But obviously, he talks about Mario Barrios for the WBC title, which is obviously it's another possibility for him. I don't suppose he's done anything to earn a world title shot or welterweight. To be honest with you, Shug, but it doesn't work that way anymore, does it? It's almost not important. It's about management. It's about promotion.
He's got the eyes on him. He sold out a stadium of 65,000, and it's on the zone. It's got a high American interest. So yeah, money talks, mate. He's gonna get his shot. He should have his shot at featherweight if they wanted him to. So yeah, money talks, mate, and money governs the world sanctioning bodies as well.
Absolutely, and it's never been more blatantly the case than it is today. Oh, I mean, listen, I remember Hugh McElvenney complaining about the Leonard Hagler fight, saying, "I've got to be honest with you." When he was on a panel to discuss the fight, he said, "I don't really like this fight. I'm against it." He says that he said, "I know we all know that money is the real matchmaker," but his whole argument was Leonard had done nothing to earn a shot at Marvin Hagler, except being active for one fight in 5 years, and that one fight was against a welterweight in which he kind of underperformed, in the opinion of most people. So Hugh McElvenney was saying, obviously, it's only because of huge commercial forces behind Sugar Ray Leonard that allowed him to walk into that title shot. I mean, obviously, you could argue that he justified it by winning the damn thing, and obviously there's never going to be any argument from me on that score. But the point being, he was saying in 1987, money is the real matchmaker. Well, the only thing that has changed in the what's that? That would be 30. How many years have since elapsed? The 38 years that have since elapsed, nearly 40 years that have since passed. The only thing that's changed is money has got far more autonomous in terms of being the biggest driving force in the industry of professional boxing, in terms of who fights who, when, where, how, on what terms, and everything else.
In the industry of life, mate,
Yeah, you're right. It's just capitalism, isn't it?
Money is the god of life, isn't it? And it's the god of the world and the politicians and life, 100%.
Yeah, which is why I find it kind of futile and pointless and rather tedious when people discuss business in boxing online or wherever, and they say money talks as if it's some kind of profound revelation. It's like you said, it drives a greater part of the world. I mean, perhaps in certain other parts of the world outside of the Western world per se, maybe they have different driving forces and a slightly different cultural kind of motor, but certainly in the world that I'm aware of, money drives everything.
It seems that way. I mean, I had this conversation with a friend of mine. He says, Esham, if you had 100 million, would you really want 200 million? What more can you actually do? We're not in that position, but really, do we need more than 100 million? Do we really
That's a good point. When you talk about greed, because it's a bit like, I don't want to get into the sideshow that's going on at some point later. I haven't touched it, and I don't intend to touch it. It's my platform, and I get the right not to talk about things that I just find really, uninterested and lame. But when people say you'd do it, wouldn't you, for 100 million? Let's say, just something which goes against my kind of value base and so-called integrity. And my answer often is, well, yeah, I probably would, because I don't have the right to turn that money down for myself or my children and all the rest of it, because I don't have any. But if I already had money, then I wouldn't necessarily abase myself to get another 100 million, like you just said. Because like if you talk about Eddie Hearn promoting certain things, for instance, it'd be like, well, why, who wouldn't? But if I had the money that Eddie Hearn's got, I wouldn't necessarily do things which I found at variance with my value base. Do you know what I mean? Because hopefully the luxury of being wealthy would mean you wouldn't have to. Whereas in the same way that you might, if you didn't have any money, you might work as a short order cook in a diner for 12-hour shifts, but you're not going to do it if you've got a few quid, are you? So that I would
That's
I would
right.
hope taste and refinement and a certain degree of sort of judgment and respect for the integrity of boxing would be part and parcel of already having a lot of money, you know. But then Larry Holmes said he always, whenever he was in a position like when he returned to fight Mike Tyson for $3 million, when he was already a multimillionaire, he said a little more money didn't never hurt anybody. And when they asked him what it would be to him, you know, to earn another couple of million, he said it's another building, it's another, you know, it's another building in Larry Holmes Enterprises, etc., etc. So
That's
really
in,
wealthy people always seem to think they need more money, don't they?
that's interesting, and that seems to be the case, doesn't it? The people that have got the money, they want more. So maybe it's just the way it goes, mate. Maybe this money doesn't make you happy, does it? Simple as.
Well, do you know what? The funny thing is, it doesn't, sugar. It absolutely doesn't. It's poverty can definitely make you miserable. It can,
If you
you know,
if
struggling.
you want if you want more, if you're loaded and you don't need money, you still want more, then it doesn't make you happy. But you know, maybe some people say it gives me more drive, but the people I know that's got money, they're tight. So
Yeah, you do get that kind of that type millionaire syndrome, don't you? I do
yeah,
remember you saying there was a fighter of your acquaintance who made a lot of money in his last fight a few years ago. So it was really retirement nest egg kind of money, and you said that like most fighters, he was feeling lost without the game, and
yeah,
despite the huge bank balance, he wasn't happy in himself when he spoke to you a while ago. So that is proof enough, isn't it, that money doesn't make you happy. You think it will when you struggle and you're constantly concerned about bills and financial pressures. You sometimes think that money, if I only have money, if I only have financial security, I will be happy because everything else is in place. I quite like my life. I just don't like this financial, fear of economic insecurity. And consequently, if I was a millionaire or a multimillionaire, then I would finally be happy. But when that pressure gets taken away, sometimes people feel I think it's the human condition to start worrying about something else, Shug, and to start fixating on something else which is lacking in your life and you don't feel whole, especially if you've got a whole bunch of leisure time to think about it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Like I say, my old pal used to say to me, Brendan, he always used to say, money don't make you happy, but it helps. And I think that is the nail on the head for me. It definitely helps. Definitely
Yeah,
helps.
yeah. On that note, Shug, it's been brilliant to catch up again in this particular online fashion. I hope those of you tuned in enjoyed it. I'll also make a couple of reels with some of the more eye-catching things you said. How's that?
Love that, Ben. Ben, I'm a big fan of Abdullah Mason, mate. And I'm a big fan of Mr. Noakes. Thought it was an amazing fight. And it's opened my eyes again. Hopefully, we'll be back on the scene soon with a couple of fighters that I've got. And hopefully, we can come through like yourself, like you're working on in the background. And hopefully,
Yep.
we'll bump into each other, mate.
Absolutely, Shug. Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Guys, thanks
bro.
for tuning in. Over and out.
God bless. God bless.